Hello, my name is Junet and I am the education lead expert in Mandala Eco Village. It is an exciting, energizing and challenging experience to be a part of the cause of this team. I was born and raised in Tunak Malang in Desa Unga. It's in Unga village. It is just 30 minutes away from where Mandala school will be. So I speak from the perspective of the local and I speak the language of most villagers around Mandala, and I can say that I belong to the group emotionally. So that's another reason to be excited. I've worked in the education field for more than 15 years and I've always been drawn to working in the education field. It started in high school and I wrote in my yearbook, high school yearbook, that I wanted to be a teacher, and now I am a teacher. I finished my master's degree in applied linguistics at the University of Adelaide, and 2 weeks ago I obtained my PhD in education from Monash University, and I wrote my thesis on the cognitive development of teachers. I always find happiness in working within the world of education. I have established learning center in the village where I was born and raised. I organized symposium for the education volunteers on the island, and now I currently work with some literacy projects across the island. And now my main job is a teacher, lecturer at the University of Mataram, and to be the education lead expert at Mandala Eco Village. Unfortunately, we have many pressing issues on the island and all across Indonesia in general. But fortunately, we know quite well about these issues, so we know what to do to approach them. We have issues with the basic literacy of our kids. We have issues about the functional literacy of our youth that interfere with their chance of excelling in their livelihood. And we have environmental challenges in the way we develop this beautiful island. So let me start with the data that says that only 3 out of 10 students aged 15 in Indonesia who can read the graph of, let's say, the comparison of the carbon absorption rate of trees. So if you ask them to read the graph, only 3 out of 10 will be able to read it. And this anecdote is the reflection of the quality of the reading comprehension ability. There are symptoms, but we also have to talk about the cause. The cause is always multifactorial. We know that stunted growth affects the brain development of the kids. We know that the school physical environment accounts for more than 20% of the success in learning. And we know that teachers and the methods of teaching are also responsible for the success of the students. So there are so many factors that can influence the success of an education endeavor. And because we know about this data, and then we know how to approach them, and by reminding everyone that we can work on this together, we can have hope to handle the issues. And hence, the idea of Mandala Learning Center, the nurturing home for the change makers, is very crucial. It will be a space for learning for both the local people on the island, and also for the residents of Mandala in general. Let me first start with picturing the learning center. Imagine a beautiful landscape on which a large, beautiful structure is built on. Imagine kids learning about the ecosystem in a science pond. while learning to read a series of instruction on the experiment that they're doing that day. On the other side of the landscape, there are teenagers learning to make documentaries about farmers and their daily life because they're developing a YouTube channel about it. And on the other side, there are Mandala residents having a hands-on activity doing permaculture while having a discussion about what to improve in Mandala. So everybody can attend. There is always something for everyone. Mandala residents and also the local kids and also the youth near the Mandala region. These are the daily activities that I envision for this learning center. And this comes from the perspective of someone who grew up on this region and someone who spent 6 years in world-class education settings. So I have a diverse perspective on what the students will need, hopefully. The grand vision of the Learning Center is for it to be the nurturing home for the change makers. It will be the underpinning principle of the Learning Center. The Mandala Learning Center will be the first start of a long-term goal, long-term effort of Mandala Education Mission. We will start with a space not bound by the conventional four-wall classrooms, where our participants can nurture their curiosity and natural inclinations for learning. So let's say the kids want to learn about the natural world. Our young participants, I would say, might want to know what happens when the trees on the hill are cut down. Traditionally, we will teach them in a biology class, introducing them the concepts of ecosystem, natural disasters, trees, and so on. Well, we see the merit of this method. However, the lecturing style of learning is not that powerful. So in our learning center, the concepts of ecological balance and natural disaster can be introduced through direct experimentation in our open space, and particularly in our science pond, as I have said earlier. Not only that the students will directly expose themselves to the concepts, but they can also be engaged in working directly in the effort of environmental conservation. The students can nurture not only the knowledge, but also the awareness to act, while also nurturing the emotional well-being of being in a community of holistic learning. Our basic principle is rooted in the philosophy of education as expressed by a legendary Indonesian educator named Tan Malaka. The purpose of education, he said, is to sharpen our intelligence, strengthen our will, and soften the heart, which means that when the students know how to solve the problem, they are expected to have the courage to do the changes based on what they understand, and with the right moral compass, they will direct their understanding and the courage to act to the right cause. So our independent curriculum, and that's what we will have, it will have the characteristics of all the international curriculum tailored to the needs of the world in the 21st century. But beyond that, we want to also inspire the students to take leadership role in nurturing their well-being through our independent curriculum. So Mandala Learning Center will serve as many things. It will serve as the center for learning for the local kids and also the local youth, but most importantly, it will be a collaboration with the Mandala residents. So many age groups can attend the Learning Center. We are inviting educators and those who are passionate of learning and helping and nurturing others. Two skills that we need for our teachers is the skill of scaffolding and reflecting. Scaffolding is the ability to assist the participants to reach their development potentials. Teachers who can see where the participants can progress without creating the unconstructive mental burden of learning. Reflecting is the next ability that we want to have in our teachers, and they have to be reflective on day-to-day basis of teaching. Theorizing the practice and practicing the theories. It is not only about implementing the imported theories from the West. It is about being reflective about it, because the context and characteristics of our students are special, and we need the special approach to each of our classes. We can mention principles, the idealistic principles of, let's say, Montessori, from Waldorf School, and from International Baccalaureate, but this can be futile when implemented without the reflective practices from the frontliners, our teachers. So instead of setting the requirement for our teachers, we are going to recruit our teachers based on their proven experience and the philosophy that they have, because it is important that they will have the passion of teaching and the right mind for it. It is exceptional because we will work by starting with the realities of the students and tailoring it to the needs of each of them. It is exceptional because we are not bound by one-size-fits-all curriculum. And to avoid cognitive burden, we care for the individual difference in learning. We know that kids learn best in their optimum zone of learning. We need to know what they already know and what they can potentially know. And what each student comes to class with is different. So in our learning center, we will devise a method of assessing the level of their literacy and conceptual understanding. It is also exceptional because we will work with both participants from many different levels, catering to the needs of all levels of literacies, the basic literacy, the functional literacy, and also the critical literacy. Basic literacy is how the participants make sense of the symbols and what it means in the real world. And this includes the ability to understand the letters, numbers. And this is really important because without this, our kids will not be able to succeed in their more advanced learning. So we have to take care of this basic literacy. It is also special because after the basic literacy, we will address the functional and critical literacy. Functional is about using the symbols to solve life problems, and also the critical literacy is about knowing who to help and what to do and what causes we will have after we gain the basic and functional literacy. So basically it is about doing what's good with the education they have. For every great vision, there is a great challenge. And the good thing about challenge is that we can only develop and grow if we face the challenge and resolve the challenge with the right approach. In Mandala Learning Center, we have the challenge of, let's say, tailoring the needs of all learners. It is a massive undertaking to make a tailored syllabus. Those who have worked in education knows how we have sacrificed the efficacy for the sake of efficiency. So let's see, in our public schools, we have to use one curriculum for everyone. But in Mandala Learning Center, the students will come knowing what they know and be helped and scaffolded in a special way, because we want to give them individual service of education. We will also have the challenge of dealing with our young learners. Their basic literacy will be different, and then for the local kids, I must mention that we will have to help them harder because they have bigger challenge. And for our adult learners, if we have a class, let's say for hospitality class, to work in hotel or restaurants, the problem will be not for teaching them the skills, but it will be a problem of whether we will have a job openings for them. So it is not only the problem of Mandala Learning Center, but also a problem of providing for our people in general. "10 years. I want to be specific on this one. In 10 years, we also have the goal for our youth, and not only the youth in Mandala residents, but more importantly here, the youth of the locals who want to learn in Mandala Learning Center and also in Mandala School. We want them to have the skills that will be needed to work and not only to work in the way that they would be the workers in a business that people offer them, but also to have this awareness of entrepreneurship, that they can create the jobs for themselves. And for the residents of Mandala, the Learning Center will serve as a space for collaborative learning for all the residents of all ages. Remember that there is something for everybody. Let's take this for an example. If you have a family of 4, in the Learning Center, the parents can join the permaculture class, while the kids learn about the relationship between the soil and the water. In the Learning Center, the family can also meet the hospitality class student from the local village, who was there maybe to collect the vegetables needed for the restaurants, whom he was able to convince to make food using the organically produced vegetables. And this is what we want. We want to facilitate communication so we can arrive at the most well-being that we can have for most numbers of people. For the local community to improve the access to quality education, and for the residents to grow together as happy change makers. And a message to our Mandala friends, I would like to say again a quote for the wonderful Tan Malaka. The purpose of education is to sharpen our intelligence, to strengthen our will, and to soften our heart. And that will be the guiding principle of it. So we invite you, the change makers, the teachers, the students, to join us to be together in the pursuit of a better life for everyone.